So why the Frankenruger? We'll get to that, but this is the third ammo run through the Feddersen barrel with various ammunitions to see what it likes and why. So the NRL competitions that I usually shoot, I have used the Bergara BMR, which is to ride around on your ATV with and shoot rabbits and squirrels, but I've been using it somewhat successfully for NRL 22. And in that, I had to make a couple modifications. One to the stock, so I could have a greater length of pull and a better cheek rise, so I could more accurately acquire the target and shoot, hopefully successfully, actually. And modify the trigger in that with a Bix and Andy Dakota, and have shot it ever since. Got some money from my father for Christmas and decided, after I'd already learned what it would take to get a new barrel on a BMR, which not too many people do. I think there's only two that I found. I decided to go ahead and do that. So the picture below is the Bergara with nothing on. It's the barrel action that was sent out to TDA Precision for that modification. Not knowing how long that'll take or when they're back, I decided to cobble together a 22 that, and hopefully with all 22s torn apart with this method, I'll have one for each of the guys in the family to shoot competition together with in the future. It's going to take a while. This is the first one out of the gate, and it's a bits and pieces build. I'm not going to read through all of these, but basically it's cobbled together from old and new things that are polished, things that are changed, in hopes to develop a platform that will successfully be used for NRL 22 until the BMR is back. You can pause on this. This will tell you all the things that the bits and baubles and pieces that collaborating with my uncle, we pulled together and built this out. So to start off with, I shot to loosen up the barrel, warm it up. I shot some SK semi-auto, which I've shot a lot with the Bergara BMR. It shoots quite well. No complaints there, but it shoots a big ragged hole. And, you can see that spreads at 50 yards over an inch in width almost and half an inch high. And the elevation on it is not such a concern while shooting a quarter-inch steel at 40 some yards NRL, but the windage or width of it is, and that's where I seem to get the most spread on that. So this is just an example of what I'm looking at on a regular basis. I also shoot rifle match, which is narrower than that, a little bit longer. But again, they're good, but just not consistent at 100 like I need to be, and a lot of that is going to be attributed to the barrel and my skill. I own part of that. But we happened across a box of ammunition I had in the basement for months and months and months, and took it along. And at the very end of our shooting day a couple of weeks ago, I said, hey, let's try this out. And it was Benchrest, semi-automatic Benchrest Outlaw from Eley. And the stuff shot quite well. And much to our surprise, I only had one box. So I was able to get 2 additional boxes of that, or 1 additional box of Outlaw, and 2 boxes of the Eley semi-automatic Precision, which is touted to be the 10x of semi-auto Benchrest shooting. Bullet is of the same color configuration as Team Match and 10x, and it feels to have the same lubrication on it as well. So it is very similar, but it's a round nose instead of a flat nose. So we started off with the Benchrest Outlaw. This is what it looks like. And shot 2 fouling groups here. nothing great. I mean, 4 of the 5 are fairly decent on each one. The one on the right, the second group, is, inside of a half by a half. Can't complain about that. Measured them both out independently so you could get an example of what each of the round groups look like. I typically measure them out myself, but I thought I'm going to try the Ballistics X app and see if I can't cut to the chase on this and get some more accurate info that might be more discernible. After the first 2 fouling rounds, we shot a 10 round group. Again, ragged hole, but way narrower than the SK semi-auto. I mean, I'm happy with that. It's at 50. And I was shooting for group, not center of target, so none of these are going to be center until the very end. But again, nice group, 50 yards, only the third set of ammo through this today. And, we're still under 500 rounds through this barrel completely. I mean, it's not seasoned in or ready to start performing well. But you can see this change as we go through these slides. Again, another group, bam, it pulls in nice and tight. Actually, I thought I had a flyer that hit the top of the target and everything else was going off the target. And I picked my head up and looked back in the scope, obviously changed my personal parallax in that and squoze the trigger, and the next one was a little high, which quickly revealed the fact that the previous 3 had been pretty much in the same hole. Number 4 was a little high, and number 5 was pretty close to back in center. Again, 50-yard group. I'm happy with this. Now, of course, it didn't stay this way completely, but I'm satisfied with the way I saw it perform in this barrel. Very similar grouping here, strung out a little bit along the way, but this is, ammunition that's under $7 a box. It's the Outlaw, which is somewhat I'm guessing the Benchrest practice round for the precision round. But again, if you're shooting a 1/4-inch piece of steel, every single one of those at 50 yards hit that piece of steel. So I'm quite encouraged with this. When that was empty, went to the Benchrest Precision. You can see the color of that round is pretty much like the color of Team Match and 10X. Seem to have a very similar lubrication, like the beef tallow and beeswax you will find on the Teams Match and 10X. First 2 groups, not really surprising. I mean, these are fouling rounds. Nothing to write home about, but, I've shot ammo that shot this well after many fouling rounds, so, trying to keep it in. Measured both of them out independently in case anyone is interested. Remembering, if anyone is interested, is anyone who sees this. These videos were originally produced so my uncle and I could talk back and forth on shooting items, and this was the easiest way to connect large files to each other that wouldn't go over email. So knowing that other people are picking up on these and seeing them, we're trying to make it just a little bit more generically oriented to the information we're seeing. This is not meant to be a YouTube channel or anything else. It's a communication conduit for us, but if you're along for the ride, please take that into consideration. We're not trying to produce something to create a channel here. Continue to shoot. This is the 10 round group. It was a little wider than the Outlaw, which I'm not sure exactly why, but again, as compared to other things I've shot at 50 yards, zeroing in till I found those that, do well performance-wise, not a bad. Move up here into another 10 round group. I had one flyer. That one at the top is not part of the group. That was one that earlier would have been on the SK semi-auto. It didn't fire after a strike, and it was laying on the bench. I decided to put that one down the pipe and just make sure I expended that round so it didn't end up on the floor in the trash somewhere. So that one is not attributed to this group. So here we had one flyer out of 10. So I measured these both. This is looking at all 10 rounds on this particular group. And then we took number 10 out and remeasured just the 9 that we're touching. And again, at 50, we're still over 0.5, but you know, some of this is still me, where this is not a platform that's been shot before. It's on a chassis that's probably built for fun and some steel, but not necessarily sandbags and bipods and Benchrest type shooting. So again, not discouraged or unhappy with what I'm seeing here. This one spread out a little bit, but I also, when I went to drop this mag, and I have them all numbered, this would not drop. I had to actually push it out. And this has happened a couple times, and it turns out to be the same one. So I'm not sure if this could have been feed issues, if it was in there in a way that, you know, the rounds were being damaged in some way as they were going into the chamber. I'm not exactly sure. I've got that one out, and I'll be checking out what's up with that. But that's the only variance in this one, is the fact that that mag just, there was a problem with it. As soon as we put in a new magazine, boom, it all came back together. Another really, really nice group at 50 yards with the semi-automatic Benchrest Precision. And I'm thinking as this barrel keeps shooting more and more, it's getting the characteristics of being a shooter. This is marked fouling. I had taken a break. I had decided to swab the barrel with a wool pellet, pull it through just to see what it was looking like inside. And so I just called these foulers because I had changed the conditions of the barrel just a little bit to see what it looked like, what was coming through. Again, at 50, we're still under 0.5, so I'm happy. And again, it pulled right in on the next group. And we'll see on the next one, but let's look at this first group up here at the top. That was the next one right after. So cleaned out the barrel like with one swab, shot some fouling rounds, and bang, it pulled right in. And we're at 75 here. I forgot to even look at the tag. This is when I moved out to 75. So I switched from 50, swabbed the barrel, put the target out to 75, and then shot again. So the flyer, or the errant round down here in the bottom left, I decided to try to dial down to get everything on center at that to see what my actual drop was on that, and I overestimated. So I did not measure that in this group. I measured this as a group of 4, as that is an errant round that is completely my fault from over dialing, overcompensating on the scope. Another nice type group at 75 yards on the Feddersen barrel with Eley semi-automatic Benchrest Precision. This one drifted off a bit at 75. No real excuse why. 3 stayed tight, 2 dropped down. Could have been me. I'd spent a lot of time on the trigger continuously now. At the range, if it's busy upstairs, you get an hour. That's it. So as you go toward the end of an hour, you start hurrying up, and that's not good for sustaining good groups. So no doubt I didn't do my part here. Because at the very end, bam, it all came right back together. This is the last group shot. I had just sent the target down to 100 yards, was all set up. Scope on the bullseye, safety off, and the system reset and started pulling the target back toward me. So I could not shoot at 100. I ran out of time. They were busy upstairs and other people were waiting for the lane. But these groups at 75, I can live with every one of these shooting NRL and possibly PRS if I start down that road. But hey, if you shoot a Feddersen, tell me what you think. I think this is good ammo, good barrel, and this hodgepodge, make it up on the fly 1022 just might serve me well as we go through the next several months till the Bergara is back up and running again. Again, comments if you shoot a Feddersen, comments if you shoot the SABR Precision ammo. Let me know what you think. Thanks. Bye.